I don't know what kind of World Cup memories Derrick Lynch has. Have you a standout World Cup memory?
Yeah, Packie Bonner's save against Romania. I was only 3, but can still vividly remember it on the old television with the big back on it, down at my grandmother's and grandfather's house at the time. Yeah, that was and remember the way Packie Bonner would kind of grimace before he kicked the ball out.
That goal against England, the equaliser, he grimaced before he booted it into the Cagliari night sky.
That's something I think I've been told anyway that I was mimicking that for a good couple of years of my youth anyway.
God, I can still remember praying before the penalties in that shootout, and little did we know our first shootout was going to turn out to be the only shootout we've so far won. But anyway, let's move away from the World Cup to more local matters. Derek, what's on the cards? Some games in the Cusa Cup?
Yeah, so it's a relatively quiet weekend, I guess. It's the calm before the storm, because next weekend obviously we have the camogie and hurling sides out both on Saturday, and please God in a couple of weeks time then a big, as we've touched on Monday, like a big double header in Cusick, or in the Crow Park, a little bit bigger than Cusick Park, but not much. We'd still prefer it to be there if we could, I suppose. But yeah, so look, I suppose it's a gap week in a lot of ways, but certainly for the final round of the Will We Go Cusick Cup, there's a number of permutations that can happen in terms of the knockout stages. Chief among them, I guess, one of the biggest games is going to be in Park Navery in Quilty, where Kilmurray take on Lissycasey. Winners of this through to the knockout stages. Milltown are in a strong position. They're playing an already relegated Kilrush to get to a semi-final as well. So it's kind of between those three really for the knockout stages. It's looking like at this stage. Innistimon and St. Brecken's, that should be a really, really good North Clare derby. Or sorry, that's St. Joseph's to Bearfield up in Innistimon. And then Erogue are taking on St. Brecken's here in Erogue as well. So I guess this is probably the first round we'll have had proper, maybe since the county players probably came back really into contention. They're only just off duty, I think, for the last one. So it'll be interesting to see how strong do teams go on this one, because there's probably a break after this now until championship, and the word is that there's a number of players gone stateside, which probably means that because of the sanctions and all the rest of it, they'll miss the first couple of rounds of championship as well. But that's probably a yearly occurrence really. So yeah, that's the Cusick Cup. It's not straightforward, but it's certainly a little bit more straightforward than the Gary Cup, because which is the second division, obviously those games, so the Cusick Cup games are 1 o'clock, all of those are 1 o'clock on Sunday, and then at I think it's 3 o'clock on Sunday the Gary Cup games get underway. And of the 8 teams in the division, there's 7 of them that can still qualify for the knockout stages in some shape or form, and there's a good handful of them in the middle that could either be promoted or relegated by the time the day is over. So it's going to be a very dramatic day in that sense, in that particular competition. And just, I suppose, to make people aware of this, I know clubs got emails during the week, but there's been a change, I suppose, in the league structures of to how, if 3 or more teams finished level on points, it used to be just the overall scoring difference that was used to determine the placings. Now in the league it's going to be that mini league structure between the teams involved in the tie. Okay. So for example, I'm going to pick 3 teams because they're here in front of me. They're in the Cusick Cup obviously, but if Innistimon, Erogue and Kilmurray finished level on points, it's the games between those 3 teams that are counted towards the overall score difference.
Okay, so it becomes like a mini round robin.
Correct. Yeah, no, it's an awful shame this wasn't brought in 2 years ago in the National Football League, or Clare would have been promoted, because remember they beat the 2 teams that went up, so that would have put them through. So it just makes, I think, in fairness, I agree with the reasoning for it being brought in, because a lot of it was actually to do with the Leinster Hurling Championship, whereby you had the weaker team in it coming up from Joe McDonough, and ultimately standings could be decided by who beat that team the most in a league, who put up the most points on a Laois or a Westmeath or whoever it might be. So that was an effort to kind of just, I think, make it more fair. So that's been brought in now, so just for people to be aware of that, and there's a fair chance now that will be coming into play here in the Gary Cup. So yeah, big afternoon of club football ahead, and I think it's good as well. The venues aren't that far, but you could conceivably make 2 of those games if you wanted to, head to one of them at 1 o'clock and skeet down the road to the other one at 3 if you had to. So it could be a good afternoon, and I think the weather is going to play a ball as well, so it'll be a nice little primer before championship, and then we'll be into semi-finals and finals of the league before all that as well.
Okay, given as you said this weekend is kind of the calm before the storm, how is Sideline View shaping up this evening?
Sure, mighty as always. Sure, brilliant, fantastic.
Wouldn't expect any less.
Don't be anywhere else, only beside your radio at 6 o'clock is what I would say to you. I suppose we've been running it, and we'll be running it for the next couple of weeks, and again I'll just Warren clubs, you will be getting a call, or More Than a Club series, which has been focusing on the GA clubs of the county. And tonight it's one of the clubs, I suppose, that has been hugely successful in both men's and ladies football in Clare. We had Joe Gary and Anne-Marie Cannon in studio, two familiar voices to us all here on Clare FM, obviously, and kind of going through the successes. And Joe was involved in managing actually in the Clare ladies' successes as well, way back when he had a beautiful brown leather jacket and a flowing head of hair. And if anybody wants the picture, I have it, so just contact me, I'll fire it on to you. So yeah, looking forward to talking to two of them tonight. And it's I suppose as well, a poignant day tomorrow, I guess, in for all involved in Kilmurray Brecon. I'm kind of putting my club hat on me here now, but we lost our brilliant stadium manager Patrick Wickham 2 years ago, and I suppose this weekend he's going to be remembered in two of his favourite elements, I guess, football and traditional music. I know there's a fantastic day planned all day tomorrow. There's teams from Kerry, Limerick and Clare coming together for an under-13 tournament, and there'll be refreshments on the day, and a couple of his old session buddies are coming together as well to poke out a few tunes in his memory as well. So really good family day involved there to remember the men we all call Stadium. So we'll hear more about that as well later on the show.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much, Derek.